Hi, everybody. Friday update. I'm Jack O'Malley, and I'm just going to talk about one particular thing tonight, and that is my decision to sign on in support of the Texas suit against Michigan and several other states. It wasn't an easy decision. It's interesting. As I've done these updates over the many months and talked about a lot of topics, I get a lot of, shall I say, feedback from people who basically say I'm a horse's patoot for either doing this or not doing this. I would refer to it as kind of a Monday morning quarterbacking. It's easy, or armchair quarterbacking. It's easy to make the call until you're in it. And these are big decisions. These are big comments. These are big thoughts. So for those of you who might not know, Texas has filed a lawsuit, and I think up to 22 states now. 17 are on, 5, last I heard, were asking to be on. I don't know where it's at. Anyway, the point is, this lawsuit basically says that states, the 4 or 5 states, there were questionable things. Some laws were possibly broken, and the Supreme Court needs to step in and say, "Hey, wait a minute here. These elections need to be looked at and go to the state legislature." So I, along with 14 other representatives, agreed. In one sense, it's a hill of beans. It's the Texas lawsuit that is the lead, right? And 22 other states have agreed to go with it. So that's it. Our little comment is small potatoes. Still potatoes, but small potatoes compared to that. But it wasn't an easy decision. And of course it should be, Jack. You're standing up for the Constitution. But yes, but it's tough. I don't know how to explain it other than that when you're sitting here, because there's criticism on both sides, right? So what I've said to people, and I've been interviewed a couple of times today on this, is, when I ran for office, PFAS, education, fix the roads, the Line 5 tunnel, things like that. That's what the day-to-day stuff. But ultimately, we do have a constitutional question here, and that's part of my job as well. It's not the one that people talk about all the time, but it's there. We're dealing with issues or zoning variances and things like that. But here we are, standing shoulder to shoulder with our founding fathers. Where are we at with this? So I want to explain to you, when I got elected, I said, you can agree or disagree with me. I may be right, I may be wrong, but I want to tell you why I do what I do. And I think I've done a pretty good job of that in my first term, and I want to continue here. So, as I said, when I got into this, if you'd have told me, well, first of all, we'd be dealing with a pandemic, I wouldn't have believed it. And second of all, we'd be sitting here right now with this election question. So here's why I did what I did. I got to thinking about it, and where are we at with this? And it is the legislature's role to oversee elections, ultimately. Now, we may choose, like we did in 1954, to say that this is, we're going to do it this way, we're going to do it that way, and then it's set in statute. But ultimately, it's the legislature's job to make sure that elections are run properly. And there are some questions, some serious questions about what happened. And I'll give you a couple of things that I think, I've mentioned them before, but I'll mention them again. Things that really stuck with me. And first of all, our Secretary of State, who is supposedly a guru on elections. She wrote a book about it. I forget what the heck it was called, but she wrote a book. She's supposedly the guru on running elections. Well, if that's the case, then why did she flood everybody's mailboxes with applications. And she didn't just send them to the qualified list, she sent them to the dormant list too, the non-active list. And that meant we had applications going to dead people. We had applications going to people that hadn't lived in an address forever. There were a lot of questions. Now, that job is usually handled by the local clerks. There is some question whether to its legality. Court of Claims judges, I understand it, said it was legal, but there's still a question to that. That job is normally handled by the local clerks. And historically speaking, those applications weren't just sent to everybody. You had to request them. But for some reason, our guru on elections, the woman who wrote the book, decided to just send it to everybody. The next thing that really stuck with me is when there was the effort to extend the deadline 14 days past election, right? And the Court of Claims judge said, yep, 14 days, we can do it because of the pandemic. Well, that's not what the legislature had set up, because that's not the law. And our Attorney General and our Secretary of State chose not to defend the law. They were going to, okay, yeah, we'll let it go. It was the legislature that had to remind the courts that we had standing, and we were the ones that had to sue and got it up to the appellate court and file a complaint. And the appellate court said, yep, you can't do it. The state law says 8 o'clock on election night. So those are just a couple of instances where the person who is administering our elections, not technically in charge, because that's the legislature's job, did some really questionable things. So I think it's worthwhile, and we need to fix all these issues. And I believe we will. That's why I also signed on asking that Chairman Hall and the Oversight Committee get subpoena power, because if some of these people won't come in, we have to bring them in by all means necessary to get them to testify and let us know, because it is the legislature's job to make sure our elections are fair and run properly. And not the Secretary of State, the legislature. And so I felt that I'm going to let the Supreme Court kind of be the judge on this one. If they can look at this and say, you know what, there were some real questionable things here, that says a lot to me. If the Supreme Court says, nothing here to see, move along, I'm okay with that. I want that independent look to give me some answers. If that Supreme Court says, yeah, there were problems in Michigan and the other states, then bingo, that says a lot to me, and it should say a lot to the people of the state of Michigan. If that Supreme Court, same Supreme Court, says, yeah, let's take up the case, listens, and says nothing here, I'm okay with that. Point is, I will accept the Supreme Court no matter what they say, because they will have looked at it in an independent way. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So am I looking to, someone said, are you looking to overturn the election of the people of the state of Michigan? No, I'm not. What I want to make sure is that if there's hanky-panky, we expose it. And we still have a lot of work to do no matter what the Supreme Court says as a legislature. And here's the other thing. Even if the Supreme Court says, yeah, we got to send it back to the legislature, there's no, right now as we sit here and as I record this, there's nothing that says the State House is going to give all those electors to President Trump. There isn't. We don't know. It hasn't happened yet. I can't read the future. But I believe that what's very important is that the Supreme Court says, nothing to see here, or let's take another look. And I think that's important, and that's why I signed on. Obviously, the vast majority of my colleagues did not, and I respect them for it. I just felt that this was something I had to do. So that's all I'm talking about tonight. That's why I did what I did. Some of you will think I did the right thing. Some of you will think I'm the horse's patoot. Others won't care. But I just wanted you to know why I did what I did. I will stand by whatever the Supreme Court says. But I think they're that independent look that we need to look at the whole picture. So, and I do have questions about our Secretary of State and how the guru, the woman who wrote the book, handled things. Huge questions, and that they need to be looked at. And in my second term, after January 1st, I will commence to do that. And I know our oversight committee already is. So with that, I leave you on a Friday night. God bless you. Keep praying. Got some Christmas presents to wrap this weekend. We'll go from there, eh? Talk to you on Monday. Good night.